Hi, I'm Renee Walker, a mindset mentor, speaker, and lover of all things spiritual. I believe that at our core, we are all spiritually wired for love, peace, success, and abundance. Here on the podcast, we're diving into mindset, wellness, and business, but always through a spiritual lens. Let's just say we're going deep, but we're keeping it light. So let's elevate your life from the inside out, one conversation at a time. Welcome to Spiritually Wired. Welcome to the Spiritually Wired podcast. I have a special treat for you today because I've got Alex Street with me. Alex is the author. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see me. If you can't, I am holding Alex's book, which is called Story Arc, Clarify Your Story and Create Lasting Impact. So Alex is a speaker coach, a storytelling coach, and he is the author, in fact, of Story Arc. I have had the pleasure of witnessing Alex in action on stage in, I don't know, there was a point in time there, Alex, where we just kept bumping into each other all the time. And
That's
I
right.
always receive so much from the wisdom that you share. You're just such a great inspiration. You've been, Alex was in our mastermind and in the membership as one of our guests, and definitely was a fan favorite. So I am really just so honored and thrilled to have you on this podcast. Welcome. Thank you.
It is such a joy. It is such a privilege to be here. I was at your podcast launch party maybe a year ago. We're just over a year? When was that?
Yes.
And so to be able to step in that room and celebrate you and celebrate this, and now to sit in this space and be invited in as a guest and talk all things storytelling and how it connects with the spiritual walk or life or experience. I mean, wherever this goes, Renee, I trust you and I am overjoyed to be here. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I forgot that you were at the podcast launch, which is
That's
so
right.
much fun. I can't believe it's been already a year. Most of the conversations, we just let them flow and go. Though I find like you have you've positioned yourself in a space that I find is so important, and it's unique to you, which I think is so cool that when we think of Alex, we know that you are here to help and to support people really be able to not only help them define their story, but also share their story, whether it's on stage, whether it's through a book, whether it's through, a podcast, a business, or even just also for personal reasons. So let's start by can we get your story arc? How did it all come to be? Where did this passion for helping people with their story start?
Yeah, this is good. I'm going to do what I don't usually do, actually, and take you right to the moment where one moment where I really leaned into this work. And it was a moment when I was feeling so confused about what I'm supposed to do. How do I use these gifts that I have? How do I build a business or make impact? I was 29, maybe. I was probably a little bit later than that. And I had dropped my daughter off at an event like 7:00 at night. She's got 2 hours of this thing. I went to Starbucks. I opened my computer and it just said, okay, what have I loved most in the moments of my life? Like I just started typing, just that, those writing sessions, just type everything that you can do. And I was just totally exploring what has stood out in my life, what moments stand out, and what did I enjoy in that moment. And so I went all the way back to, I remember this moment. I remember stepping on stage the first time. I remember walking with my mom into the theater. I remember experiencing all these moments, my first audition, my first performance, um, when I got my gig, when I started speaking, like all of these things that I had done. And when I started to zoom in, I was like, oh, I not just love speaking and telling stories. Like, sure, that's fun and everything, but there was something else that came out of that where I said, oh, I love when people experience something, when they have some kind of magical experience. And so then I came out of that with such clarity to go, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, is help create an experience for people where they can have a transformation. So now, 10, 12 years later, that language has turned into, oh, I help you find your story so that you can actually help transform other people. I help you see your transformation so you can help transform other people. So in that moment, I went from confusion to clarity by very simply spending 2 hours there diving into my journey, my story, what has changed me. And I'm helping other people do exactly the same thing now with the work that I
I
do.
love that. And
So
I
there's
love how
something
like
there.
yeah, and it's something that everyone, like for people who are listening right now, what a great exercise to do, to just take some
Yeah.
time to explore what stands out in your life. What were those moments? So it's such a beautiful, simple exercise that can lead to so much clarity. Sometimes, like, don't you find we just overcomplicate things so much?
Oh, that's 100% the biggest problem is we think that our stories, our lived experiences, how could I
Mm-hmm.
ever communicate that in a quick,
Mm-hmm.
clear, concise, captivating way? It's so much. And so, yeah, of course,
Yeah.
you complicate all of the things. And we say, no, it's a simple transformation. You're like, but there's been so many transformations. So, yeah, it's like everything that we come back to with some sort of clarity, the mind quickly, probably the fear-based mind, quickly wants to
Yeah.
counteract that with, but it's actually more complicated than that. And I kind of feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to say, not, it really isn't. It's really quite simple.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's always like threads, similarities. So I find like where you're really good at doing is helping people find the pattern, because just as you said, I think that's where we get caught up often in our mind. It's like, well, how do I distill my whole life into
Yeah.
this, 20-minute story? And you're so good at helping people be like, yeah, no, it's not about sharing your whole life, but there's threads that if you can look at it from a different perspective, you can start to notice, to pick up on.
Yeah. No, I love that idea of threads. Like the one red thread kind of that goes all the way through
Mm-hmm.
the life.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I lean on this phrase, lasting impact always starts with one clear story. So
Mm.
is that one clear story about the moment that your grandma gave you your first ball of yarn, and so now that's why you are a world-class knitter? I don't know. Is we
Mm-hmm.
think of like that's
Mm-hmm.
one clear story, that one moment. And
Yeah.
I think the work actually is, no, the one clear story is through that moment or through thousands of others in your life, you have had a very similar transformation going from
Yeah.
there to here. And if you can identify that transformation, I mean, that's the story that then you get to tell any moment you want to, but that is actually the story, that transformation. And that sets you
Yeah.
free.
You've said that word a few times today, right? The transformation. And,
Yeah.
I know that with some of the many of the women actually that I work with, they don't always they're not always able to recognize the transformation that they did go through, right? It's not
Yeah.
always easy to be able to, it really, like, what would you say is how do you help people be able to actually bring awareness to what that transformation is?
That's such a good point and a great question that zones in on it because um, if I could like shout from the rooftops one message that every human would embrace right away, it would be that your story matters because you've already changed
Mm,
and you're just getting started.
mm,
And so when people are looking for that transformation, how do I define that transformation? Have I really transformed? I think there's a lot of narratives there that are saying, yeah, but sure, maybe I've changed, but it's nothing impressive. It's nothing
mhm,
significant. I've just been living my life. And so I would say to someone thinking those things, I would say, okay, tell me about one of the biggest barriers in your life, the biggest feelings that keep getting in the way, a big moment that you had to overcome where there was a barrier, something in the way of you getting what you want. And typically they would be able to say something like, well, I remember when, I lost this person, I lost this job, this relationship twisted. I was trapped, I was stuck, I was feeling these things. And they're zoning in on some moment, 5, 10, 15 years ago, probably. And they could say, at my worst, I felt blank, right?
mhm,
I think everybody could label that. At at my worst, at my like lowest point in life, I remember I have felt, or the most frustrating, the most like difficult moments, I felt like blank. For me, it's confusion. I felt confused. Um, and if that's true, but you're showing up to me today not feeling that, or you have felt, you, even if it's not today, you have experienced not that feeling, then tell me about that. Tell me what you have
mhm,
experienced. Tell me where you are, right? So there's this who I am now versus who I was. And who I am now, I can say, is someone who is clear. As I talk to you today, Renee, I'm like, I
mhm,
am as clear as anything that this is what I'm supposed to do. This is how I show up. But I am so familiar with that feeling of confusion. And so if you take just those
mhm,
points, anecdotal, I get it. You have felt like that at your worst. You now or have experienced feeling something else. What is that? Clarity, freedom, faith, trust, openness. Then what we have there is very simply a transformation. You once felt like this. Now you feel like this. I went from there to here. That is a change. And that, by the definition of storytelling, is a story.
mm.
So
I
there's
want to say
this.
thank you,
Oh,
thank you, thank you. Because my intention today was like really wanting for everyone listening to really feel that their story matters, your story matters.
yeah.
And unfortunately we forget that. We place importance on everyone else's stories. And I know there's a large number of women that listen to this podcast, and I find as women especially, it's easy for us to highlight and to celebrate everyone else's stories, but it can feel uncomfortable putting the story back on yourself. And I think there's something so powerful. The other piece too is that it tends to be from a business perspective. So if you have a
Yeah.
business, and you want to, especially in the coaching world, let's be real, right? People are bringing more emphasis because we're all realizing the importance and the power and really being clear on what is our story and what was our transformation and how we can share that.
Yeah.
But to me, I just also think there's so much power for everyone to really take some time to recognize the transformation that they've had in their lives. And it's not about
Yeah.
selling it, and it's not about, convincing anyone else. It's for your own self, for your own
Yeah.
self-worth, for your own self-love. It's such a beautiful and powerful exercise to move through.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, absolutely. There is, you can learn storytelling to tell their story, your audience's
Mm-hmm.
story. We can
Yeah.
talk marketing. We can talk how to
Yeah.
communicate this, to bring your audience in, feel like they're a part of this, to sell your product and to help people move and change and make your impact. Absolutely. Like, I am all here
Mm-hmm.
for that. I teach that. I support people through that as a coach. All absolutely. But as you're zoning in on here, your story is first for you.
Mm-hmm.
It is your experience, and it is for you to continue to experience and hopefully to get to the end, the very end of your lived experience and look back on and say, wow,
Mm-hmm.
what a ride. What a journey. That
Mm-hmm.
is what a
Mm-hmm.
transformation. Again and again and again, I faced those barriers, and again and again and again, I overcame through new ways and new relationships and new tricks and new experiences and saying yes and saying no. I overcame again and again and again to get to this point in life where I can look back and say, like, well done.
Yeah.
So yeah,
You know,
first
one
for
of my
you.
favorite topics is just exploring your soul's purpose. And as we're having this conversation, it's like so much of the transformation, that is our soul's purpose, right? Everyone comes on this earth. We're all unique. We all have different lessons that somehow, for some reason, we're here to learn. And so the experiences in our life are there to help us move through those lessons. And I mean, it never ends. I mean, the whole
Uh-huh.
idea is that, we learn something and then something else will show up.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
the beauty of being alive. So it's not about wanting to check off that final box, but I just find it's the first time that I actually am like making this spiritual connection to it as well, is that your transformation is part of your soul's purpose. And it's why often when you start to bring awareness to it, that it ends up being a business, because there is passion around the transformation that you've gone through, and that makes you the unique and best person to be able to support and coach and teach other people through that transformation, because
Yeah.
for some reason you in this lifetime experienced it, but only you experienced it in this way, like
Yeah.
confusion to clarity. Maybe there's other people that have experienced confusion to clarity, but no one in the way that you did, Alex, and
Yeah.
the way in which you got to it. So I just think it's so cool when you start to look at it in a different lens.
That's kind of opening me up to something new as well, a little bit there. And
Yeah.
I was starting to feel some emotions come up and to think about that as the great big purpose of this all and some much larger story. And something I like to invite people to think about, when we do this work
Mm-hmm.
and we try to attach it to our business, it becomes very now focused, like in 2025, 26, with the tools and the gadgets that we have. What's the business that I run? And people are like, oh, I help people with their AI stuff. You're like, okay, great, that's a now thing. And so you're trying to communicate and connect your lived experience over the last 40 whatever years to this brand new thing that you're trying to teach to people, and it can become this very
Mm-hmm.
messy thing.
Yeah.
um, but when we do expand and you go bigger, something I like to ask people is, what would you be doing in this world? What work would you be bringing if you lived 250 years ago, 2,500 years ago? You as a being, what, with this same purpose in mind, what would you be doing? And so I reflect on that and I go, oh, I help make the confusing situation of the lived experience a little bit more clear and practical through storytelling. So what would I be the town bard? I don't know. Like, what would I do 250 times? I don't know what I would do, but it would be somewhere around this towards this purpose.
What a great question. I've never even considered that.
And so I mean,
and
you
I
would
just
be,
thought that
right?
I
There's
might
this
be
idea,
burned at. I feel like
you
I
would be
was a
this,
witch and I was being burned at the stake, so I didn't get a good feeling in my heart. Not gonna lie.
well,
I don't think I survived it.
well, something survived. Here we go. We're still here.
Something exactly.
There's no guarantee that you're going to come out on top with this, but it is your purpose to what you said. So there's
No, but it's so true because I find
it.
like again, it's all the confusion that comes with the tech, like today, right? The technology,
Yeah.
the business piece to it. If we just remove it and you just become clear on the story, then to me, you can start to add on the different layers of sharing the story. But first, start with that transformation in the story and then allow that to, because I know, and you probably get this question a lot, but in the business that I'm in and a lot of the people that I work with, it tends to be a more, how do I explain it? It's not like a tangible thing, right? So it's a very feeling based. And I find it very difficult to explain sometimes what that feeling is. However, now that I'm saying it, it's like, of course, if you focus on the transformation, then it becomes easier to share what it is that you do. But it can't, like, it can be when it's not this tangible thing. If you're a business coach and you can focus on like money, I can bring you from this to that. Like, there seems to be a little bit more of like, it's clearer. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are. I think you're also limiting yourself, and that money example is perfect for that, to recognize that.
Yeah.
That you immediately just compared, what you do as being less tangible or practical than what someone else does. Let's say as a financial advisor or business coach or something. And I would argue that you're both capable of showing up and delivering here's what you will get. Here's the outcome that you will have. And they can, whether it's true or not, they can promise a monetary outcome. Work with me and you'll make your first $1 million in this 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? To your point, I think that's what you were getting at, is like, that seems like a really tangible promise.
On paper, easy to understand.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can measure it. You can mark, you can say, I did get there, I didn't get there.
Yeah.
Whereas you're showing up and saying, what's the outcome that someone's going to get? What would you say in working with you and being a part of your mastermind or coaching with you, or is that where you're stuck? You're kind of like, I don't know. What would I say?
Well, no, I mean, I do know. And again, every experience is unique, but I would say it's lightness. It's a sense of there's also feeling more grounded, more empowered to be who they are. So kind of a coming back to their essence. Confidence is a big one. Confidence in themselves, but then also leaning into, like, the lightness comes from being able to trust in this universal intelligence co-creating with you. So there's a certain lightness that comes with that when you surrender and you think, I don't have to do this alone. Those are like the big ones that are coming up.
So this is what's so interesting. I mean, everybody in your audience obviously is going to hear what you just said there and go, yes, that is what I feel when I work with Renée, when I listen to Renée. Of course, that is it. And I think that people like us are more attracted to that promise than we are to the make $1 million in 6 months. While that sounds like, whoa, that is what I want, they're actually not telling me anything about what that's going to feel like or what that will mean for my life. They could map that out. They could say you're going to feel all these things, but that is actually what I'm looking for in that $1 million in 6 months. What I'm looking for is actually what feeling that will create in my life. And you're just giving me something tangible to look at. And so then I'm trying to think, okay, yeah, that will help me feel what? I mean, easier, lighter. You can make up all kinds of things, what a bunch of money would do. But what you're doing is starting with the feelings, which I love. You're like, yeah, with this work, you're going to feel lightness. You're going to feel like you are a partner with the great creator. You're going to create with ease. You're going to move through life as your true self. You're going to not feel the pressure that you've always felt, but feel like you're playing. These are, this is what the experience is like. Sign up and let's go. And so there's a transformation. There's this outcome that you're talking about there, but when we focus on the feeling, we are actually you're answering the question that everybody's asking, but you're answering it first. Does that make sense? Again, we're getting into business talk here mode, but this is...
no, I love it. I'm getting a mini coaching session right now, live. Live on the air with everyone here.
Right, totally.
You're going to see my messaging change.
Because that is the next step. When you start with this, you could say, I can help you. I've gone from confusion to clarity and I can help you do the same. People go, ooh, amazing, great. That is the transformation I want. What's the next question? How are we going to do that?
Yeah.
People are like, here, take my money, but just tell me how. Yeah. So then that's where we get into specifics. Specifically, I'm a coach, and so I can help you through one-on-one coaching to dive into your story, turn that into a message, and then create the content, get ready for the stage. That's how it works, and I can tell you any more details about that you want to. And you could do the same.
Yeah.
Right, Renée? So
I love it.
That's where it becomes the practical thing, but for the sake of today and where we've danced around is like, yeah, but start with the why, and that will clarify everything.
Beautiful. Ooh, love it. Okay. One thing that I wanted to touch upon is we were both recently at an event, the Heartwired CEO event, which was fun. We got to dance a little bit on stage there.
Amazing.
And one of the things that you said, and I actually brought this up in one of my solo episodes that I did recently, because you started out on stage saying, okay, even though I'm a speaker coach, and I am someone who speaks for a living as well, because you're also a keynote speaker and people can hire you if you're looking for a great speaker and you've got an event. Alex is definitely the person for you. So you do it as a profession and you still feel all the feels when you're on stage. It's not something, and I love that you shared that, because again, I do think that we have so much of, we make assumptions. We're very good at, as humans, to make assumptions about, oh, it's easy for you. And of course, Alex, like, he's naturally gifted, talented as a speaker. And so for him, it's nothing. For me, it's really hard. And not to say that I do think talent makes, some of us, maybe you are naturally gifted and it does come a little bit easier, but it doesn't necessarily take away the fact that for anyone to be on a stage and to share from your heart, because you do share from your heart, you're vulnerable in the way that you share, that it's not going to shake you up in some way. So I guess what I'm saying is that, is there something, because that's probably the biggest block that I hear. And, you know, when I work one-on-one with clients, I can't tell you how many people have this secret dream of being on stage. They want to be on stage. They want to do the thing, but they just, there's a big block around their confidence, or, you know, I want to do it. If I could, I would, but there's something holding them back. And I'm just curious if it's a skill, it's something that people can work on. Like, what are your thoughts around becoming more comfortable, more confident being on stage, sharing your story?
Yeah. That's a great, I love this so much, because the stage really is my first love. As I alluded to, you know, I grew up on stage essentially, and my mom, I would follow my mom into the theater. She was an actress their entire life, and so I just fell in love with that and the effect that you can have on an audience, that with your words you can change how people feel in the moment. You can make them laugh, cry, leave feeling like they have changed. And that, as a 12-year-old, I was witnessing and essentially devoting my life to. So when I think about going on stage, that's what I'm thinking about. When I think about coming on a podcast with you, that's what I'm thinking about. Is this is an opportunity to use my voice and use my words to help the listener change in some way. We make magic with our words. It's absolutely magic that your thoughts could change because of this moment. How you live your life and the impact that you have on your kids, on your family, on your friends, on generations could change because of this 30 minutes of us chatting. Tell me that's not magic. So, so when I think about, you know, when I help, this is what I do. I'll coach speakers into crafting a keynote. Usually they're ones who have decided, I'm ready for the stage and I want to do this, but I just need help with this. But I also host a mastermind with a lot of people who are getting into speaking and are breaking through these fear barriers. And I basically break those down into 3 categories. And this is going to answer your question and help. I think one reason that people are afraid, and if you're listening to this, you can nod and agree with any of these, is you're afraid of like what the audience, this unknown audience, what they will do. How will they respond? Will they throw tomatoes at me or throw flowers at me? What's the result going to be? And it's out of my hands, and that's terrifying. There's another one that is, it's not about the audience, but it's about me and my performance. Will I trip over the wires? Will I, like in the moment, will I stumble over my words? Will I forget my words? Will I look like a fool? Will I sweat through my shirt and everybody will see? Will my voice crack? What will happen in the moment? And there's this fear about in the moment. And so people can say, that's what I'm afraid of, right? One of those two things. Those, I think the good news is both of those are coachable, and you overcome or you deal with only through experience. So this is good news, because the more that you experience those things, the more you realize they're not going to kill you. Like, you're fine. You'll deal with it. But the last one, the last fear, this third fear, this is the one that holds people back. And this is an internal fear that says that you shouldn't be up there, that somebody else should be on that microphone, not you. For whatever reason, you feel like you don't belong, you're ashamed of your own story, your experience isn't good enough, what you have to say has already been said before, you're not funny enough. You create all kinds of stories about why you shouldn't be up there. And fear, internal fear, loves to latch onto that and say, yeah, so you should stay quiet.
Yeah.
And so I am here again to shout from the rooftops and say, we need what you have. And one great way to overcome that fear is to create content, content, I think, creates a lot of our confidence. A lot of people are like, I'm afraid to speak because I don't know what to speak. So sometimes content, as in just understanding, putting a script to that, an outline to that, a structure, is all that you need to be able to confidently get up on stage with notes in hand and speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, to your question, what would I say to people who are too afraid to get up? They know that they're supposed to, but how do I ever do that? Like, how do I overcome this and get over there? I'd say, first of all, identify what the fear really is down there, and then let's figure out what you're going to say and then put it into motion. Because the only way really through that fear is through it. You can't just imagine it and get over it. Fear, it will keep screaming at you, keep saying that to you. Stay quiet. You should stay quiet until you start speaking up.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah. And it's so true how you have to move through it. There's no, I mean, I know for me, it was a big fear, and it's just the more I do it, the more comfortable it becomes, but it's still uncomfortable to a certain extent. And, but it's just, as you were just saying, that as uncomfortable as it is, you're going to survive it. You're going to get through it somehow. You're not going to die in the moment, because it feels unsafe. Right. And we talk a lot about here, just the nervous system and how the nervous system is just so big, powerful. So if it doesn't feel safe, it makes sense that it's going to trigger a whole nervous system response in your body. But when you can learn that you're going to get through it somehow, you're going to survive, and the more you do it, the less of a reaction you have.
We were talking yesterday on my mastermind call. Somebody was saying that she speaks really fast when she's like talking just normally, and then she starts to perform and starts to fly through. I was like, well, yeah, that's your nervous system saying, this is scary. Let's get through it quicker. So how do we practice? And, you can tell your mind all day, I'm safe, but let's now put some practical tips to that of breathe. Every 3 sentences, take a breath.
Breathe. Yeah.
Right? So there's this, or if your hands are starting to shake, okay, that's your nervous system sending all the energy as far out as it can go in your body. And so how do we bring that energy back to the core? By clenching, bring the energy, the blood flow back to your core to remind your nervous system that, oh no, I'm in control here. It's okay. I don't need to shake. So it's just talking nervous system reactions is exactly that. Why are you sweating? Because there's blood flow is going crazy right now. It really is.
There's a lot of alarm bells that are going on in your body right now.
Absolutely. And all because you're wondering, will they like me? Will they accept me? I think ultimately the biggest thing I care about, that I deal with, is, will this actually make the impact that I hope it can?
Yeah. So that is, that's what I was going to come back to, because when you first started talking about it, what really stood out is that I find so often we're just caught up in the me of it, in the, am I going to trip on the wire? Am I going to find the right words? My mouth is dry right now. This is happening. So we're focused on ourselves, but what you're reminding us too, it's like when you can shift the focus on the people that you're speaking to, whether it's an audience of one, by the way, it doesn't have to be even a big room, whether it's an audience of one or it's an audience of 20 or 100 or 1,000. It's like when you focus on the people that are receiving, that it just shifts everything, because now it's not about you. It's about being I'm going to use the word service because that's a word that resonates with me. I know it can be triggering for some people, but you're there of service. Your story is there to touch someone, even if it's one person in the room, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's out of our control. We get to surrender that. So thank you for that reminder. Yeah, and I'm gonna make sure I remember that every time. It's like when you get nervous or you get caught up, it's like, yeah, that's because I'm focused on myself right
Yeah.
now. It's
Oof,
an
that's
ego
powerful.
response. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's well, how do you deal with that? I mean, you show up with the podcast, but so much of the work that you do is you ooze this like attitude of service. That's as you show up, as I know you, Renee, and have experienced that. D- Do you, let's just ask, can I ask you straight up, do you deal with that? I mean, you must, but how do
Oh
you
yeah.
deal with that? When do you deal with that?
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, and you and I actually took a moment before where we were just grounding ourselves before we came on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
So I find the biggest piece for me has just been very intentional with my energy before I show up and just making it about, I always say, may I just be a channel of love and light and healing. And that just helps get my ego out of the way so that it's not about me again, as we were talking about. And it's about just knowing, because when I focus on being a channel, then it's not about me trying to find the words. It's about me trusting that the words will come, the right words will come as I'm sharing. Now, it helps to have, though, to know what I'm going to be saying. I'm not always winging it. Like yesterday, I had a corporate session. I knew what I was going to be talking about. I knew what I was going to be sharing, but then also allowing for space in it. But that's now when the bigger, what I deal with is more like the bigger the audience is. And this feels easy for me on camera, and that's been feeling, but it wasn't for a long time. It's just been doing it more and more and more. But on stage now, that's where I'm at, is regulating my nervous system to being able to be in spaces with more people, because I feel that. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, because that was a big thing for me, was just the fear of being seen. And the way I described it, I had a moment where I was speaking and I just felt myself close off. So I feel myself closing off in my heart, right? It's just like the tension here. And it was all eyes on me. There was like this sense of like, everyone's looking at you. Holy shit. That was the first time I swear on the podcast.
Hey, glad I could bring that out of you.
Yay. Yay. So does that mean I don't even know if that word counts.
You don't need to put it explicit. It's okay. You're allowed. It's like a PG-13 rating. You're allowed one F word per podcast.
Wait, I was very excited that it was going to have an explicit rating.
You could. I mean, we could just go nuts here and just go fucking wild if you want to.
We're going to do it just for fun. Exactly. See what happens.
Now we need to.
Okay, so maybe that was me distracting myself, because what I was saying was, in the moment, I could just feel all eyes on me. I don't know why, Alex, it was that particular time where I noticed the eyes were on me and I could feel the tension rise in my body. And it wasn't a new fear that I was aware. I was aware of this before, so I was able to kind of pause and breathe through it. But that's the part that I've been working through, is being okay, feeling safe with eyes being on me. This is easier, right? Because it's you and me having a conversation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and then that's where I would say, okay, there's something in there about the eyes on me. So that's probably attached to some sort, shame is a big word. There's a lot to that, but it's this idea of like, what are they thinking about me? All eyes are on
100%.
me.
It's like the judgment
What are they
piece,
thinking?
right? What are they saying? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so that then attaches and shows up as shame, but it's attached to a fear that is saying, again, and I would say this, you would know even better than I would, comes back to a childhood something in there saying, what are they thinking? Do they like me? Am I going to be
Yeah.
liked after this? And so the more that you can identify that, recognize that, deal with that, call that into existence or call that into truth, then the more that you can get up on stage and exactly do what you just did in that moment, which is to even in the moment go, oh boy, oh holy S word, here it is.
The big S word.
But I'm safe. I know I'm safe, and I know I've got something to do here.
Yeah.
And I want to say something that you just draw attention to as well is this idea that of not winging it, trusting that the words are going to come to you when you channel. The words are going to come, and it's good, because I get a lot of people that say that they're like, I just want to be able to do that. I feel like I'm really good when I just wing it. I let the words flow, and I think that does open you up for more fear and more opportunities for criticism. So I always say, actually, a little structure allows for the spirit to move.
Yes.
So it's not one or the other. But I would say I love showing up and just winging it. Like, absolutely, improv all day. Let's go for it. But the more that I have brought some key structures in, the more I am free to bounce around anywhere, because I know that I've got a sandbox to play in. And that's where I get to be. And that feels so safe always to come back to.
That's such a great point, that it's not confining. It's actually more freeing when you have that structure that brings you. And I know for me, because I'm a talker, I don't know if you feel that way. Like, I could totally go on a complete tangent and then lose, what was I just saying? So the structure helps me make sure I stay somewhat on point.
Yeah. But allows you to then, because you can go, you're in the third point of your 5-point workshop, and somebody asks a question, and you do go off wherever that needs to go in your own guidance and your own support, and in the channeling the message that needs to be said in that moment. But you've already said, that's okay. I can go here because I know I'm going to come back 2.4. When I feel like that's wrapped up, I know what's right after this, because I've created that structure already. So I know exactly where it's going, and you can play in that. And I think that also, again, that's so freeing for people to know where you are in your own message, but also, that you have the freedom to go somewhere else.
Yeah, it kind of makes me think of, I always say, like, in spirituality, one of the most important laws is the law of detachment. And so it's being, you're aware of what you're calling in, what's important. There's still intentionality with it, but it's letting go of the attachment to what it's supposed to look like. And like, would you say that probably your best talks are the ones where, something goes off that was not planned, yet in hindsight, maybe in the moment it feels uncomfortable, but then after, in hindsight, it's like, wow, like that was exactly what was needed.
Yeah. Okay. So at Heartwired CEO, part of my talk was all about, the talk was all about creating your future story and stepping into it. And it's, you get to the end and do the whole thing. And then there's about 2 minutes left. And I tell this little story about someone who stepped across a line of tape to admit something about her life and share it with the room that she was in. And then I got everybody to stand up, and like everyone in the room, right? You were there. I got everyone to stand up, because we're all going to take just one step forward as a symbol that we're stepping into our future story. And it's just one step, but here we go. 1, 2, 3. And everybody just took a step. And then there was this silence in the room. And what happened next, I didn't plan. I just recognized what was in the room. I was supposed to go from there into the next line that was written, but instead I just recognized that space and said, it's kind of anticlimactic, isn't it? And isn't
I
that just
remember.
what the next big step feels like? It's like I took this big leap and what's nothing really changed. That's life. And then it like got this applause because everybody recognized it, everybody felt it. And to your
Yes.
point is because I'm present as the speaker and in the moment and
Mm-hmm.
open to where this is going, I'm able
Mm-hmm.
to then sort of, as the speaker, you are there to actually narrate the experience for people. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I feel like happened in that moment. So, yeah.
And I remember that moment. I remember thinking when you said it, and I'm like, the sense of it wasn't planned, but then the
Yeah.
way you moved into it, I'm like, no, I think it was planned. That was part of what he was doing. Like you did such such a beautiful job in the moment. But again, that's in the spiritual side of me would say that's your
Uh-huh.
intuition, right? That's because you were
Totally.
completely, fully present and with the room because the connection piece is so important too. And that's
Totally.
what you do
Yeah.
so well is you connect with the audience. And that is something, I mean, it can be learned for sure. I feel maybe more practiced. It's one of those
Uh-huh.
things that you
Uh-huh.
have to practice, but yeah, you do such a great job.
Yeah, and just as you're saying that, I'm thinking of like first of all, thank you because I appreciate that. That actually means a lot that you see that, and I will receive that. But I think of like a singer. You
Hmm.
you watch a singer on stage, and how do they look out at the audience and notice people at any given moment while they're singing your favorite song? It's because they know the song really well.
Yeah.
So they can split off at any moment and go
Hmm.
on a different riff or take it somewhere else or whatever because they know the material really well. And I think that's the same for speaking. When you know where you're going with it, again, it gives you that space to come back to this, allows for the spirit to move, but it also allows for you to connect with the people, to make genuine eye
Yeah.
contact and get a sense for what are they feeling in this space. Instead of guessing, did they
Hmm.
like it or not? You'll know
Hmm.
as you're interacting with them through the talk. And it all really comes, I think, yeah, through practice, but also through this understanding of your own story, what you're bringing here
Hmm.
today, where you're taking them.
Yeah. Well, if you are listening to this and you're someone who wants or has this story, and first of all, everyone has a story. So if you're listening to this, you have a story and your story matters,
Yes.
as we made clear. Your story
Good.
matters. But for those of you who are really wanting to maybe take that next step in terms of finding clarity around their story, the transformation, sharing the story. I mean, Alex has so much wisdom, whether it's through one-on-one coaching or mastermind. You can also pick up his book because that'll give you a great taste, right, for the work that you
Absolutely.
do and the foundation, the methodology that you use when it comes to creating your story, which is called Story Arc. So we're going to link to all of your information in the show notes. Before we say goodbye, and I could just keep talking to you, Alex. I'm like looking at the time, thinking, "Oh my
Yeah.
goodness." I would love to ask you what spirituality means to you. How do you feel with the whole term spiritual? How does it play a role in your life?
Wait, we're landing the
Yes,
plane with
I
that
asked
question.
you. I asked you.
That
You
feels
told me in
like
the beginning that you were fine to talk about it. And then I
that.
couldn't
Yeah,
just leave you without asking you.
that feels like the captain just came on and said, "You know what? We were going to land the plane, but we're just gonna pull up and just fly around for another few hours here." And um,
Ah,
what does spirituality? I'm wide open. I'm happy to talk about this because yeah, I went from not being involved, not spiritual at all in my life, to then getting involved in being a youth pastor, somebody who led a spiritual
mhm.
group and experience for many years, and then stepped out of that because my beliefs and my faith shifted and no longer fit within that box. And I sit here today in front of you on the Spiritually Wired podcast, and I would say spirituality to me is a sense of it's looking around and seeing that everything belongs. And everything is a teacher, and everything is to be experienced. And I think spirituality to me is kind of this openness that for so long for me, it was not. It was open, but it was closed to a lot of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was a house, and the front door was open maybe, but the walls were up and they were firm. And I would say I'm looking at life now and seeing like the walls are down, and I'm here to experience whatever there is and see. Yeah, I think it's all part of the story.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your willingness to share, because that is such, I love seeing it through those eyes. I mean, it's why I love asking the question, because I find it's something that it gets to be defined for every person, and that also gets to change throughout your life. What spirituality means to you and your early days may change when you become a parent, when you become, when something else happens in your life, when you lose someone that's really special, important to you. Maybe it takes on a whole new form, and how beautiful is that it gets to evolve as we evolve. So thank you.
That's great. And I don't think that I've ever been asked that straight up or had to define that. It's like when somebody says, what does success mean to you? You're like, I don't know. I kind of just know it, but I don't know it. And as we're talking about this, you can see on the camera, the sun is now shining directly into my face.
I would say that's the light of spirit that's shining down on you.
Bring it on.
Oh, I love it. Thank you for being on the podcast, Alex. Really appreciate it, and I appreciate you. As I mentioned, we're going to share all of the places where you can reach Alex. Is it on your website, your Instagram? What's your Instagram?
Yeah. Instagram @StreetSays. And it's always me there answering things. So ask me any question, tell me what you want. And website alexstreet.ca.
Perfect. Thank you. And I do want to remind everyone that you are spiritually wired always. For love, for success, for abundance, for belonging. I loved that word. And for openness. I will see you next week. Thank you for listening to Spiritually Wired. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow and leave a review. It really makes a big difference for the podcast. And if you're ready to dive deeper and join a soul-led community, come be a part of the Spiritually Wired membership. With weekly life lessons and a rich library of recorded classes, it's designed to support you every step of the way on your spiritual journey. We currently have a special offer where you can receive your first month for half the price. You can find a link in the show notes or come check it out at reneewalkerwellness.com. Until next time, remember to take some deep breaths. Remember that you are spiritually wired.